Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of Time Crunch. I'm honored to be joined today by my good friend, Matt Tanaka. Matt is currently in the state of Washington off the coast, but he lives here in Chicago, lives in my neighborhood, Logan Square. Matt and I met, I want to say that was at least 5 years ago, where
Yeah.
Matt and I were both working at big distribution companies, rival ones, if you will. And we found each other, both taking pictures of beer, and we found each other's Instagram accounts. We're following each other for a while, and then one day just kind of said, "Hey, do you want to get a beer in the neighborhood?" And I think it was
Funny how
Rock.
how much things have changed since then.
Oh, I know. Was it Rocking Horse where we had the beer? Is that right?
Probably that. I feel like
yeah.
I make people go there all the time because I love
Yeah.
the Rocking Horse. And
Yeah, I think we had some Brooklyn lagers, perhaps.
wow, dude, that's good
yeah.
beer memory, man.
All right, that's what I do best. So Matt, but now Matt, a couple years ago, started Stout Collective, and that is a branding and design studio. They do help breweries launch their brands. They do packaging and label design and help breweries specifically with their brand strategies. And Matt has never been shy to take on other projects that kind of fit that skill set. And he was definitely one of the first people I thought of when I started this show as a fun person to have on with a different perspective. And we were originally going to talk about, launching a brand, but then something much more timely came up in our, phone calls with each other that I thought would make a much better topic. So the topic for tonight is called AllTogether. So Matt, thanks again for coming on. And can you tell everybody what AllTogether is?
Sure. Yeah. AllTogether just dropped today. We're calling it a worldwide open-ended beer collaboration to raise funds for hospitality professionals. So it's a partnership with Other Half in New York, and I mean we'll get into it in our conversation, but it has just it's grown like crazy. It's just kind of picked up steam, and it's been a really cool way to watch the industry kind of like come together really quickly around the cause. But yeah, it's the idea is officially a week in development, and it's been live for 4 or 5 hours.
Wow. Well, thanks for
fresh.
making the time to tell us more about it. So a lot of people are probably familiar with the Sierra Nevada beer resilience. How is this similar, and how is it different from that concept?
Yeah. At the beginning, when it was still the beginning of an idea, when I was explaining to people, I was using the resilience beer as kind of an example. But really, the more I talked about it, and I got a lot of advice from beer industry people that were really close to it, and I talked to people in markets all over the country. Everybody's sort of feeling things in different ways. The more we got into it, the more we realized the key difference was that with resilience, there was one specific cause in one specific area, and breweries around the country in a really inspiring way kind of banded together to all support that effort in California. Now, the challenge is a lot different because everybody is affected, and it's not just in a certain region of the country, it's not just in the States, it's worldwide. And we're kind of looking at that model and seeing that there's a lot of things that we're really inspired by the Resilience Project, but we had to find a way to make that work for each individual community, because the needs right now are widespread, but the specific need in a small town in Ohio is different from Wisconsin or New York City or Chicago or California or whatever it is. So we have all these different things that we need, and it kind of took a different life from there. That it was a little bit different.
Very cool. So Other Half in Brooklyn, are they the ones that designed the recipe for this beer?
Yeah. So the concept for it was Other Half put up a recipe. Stout did a label template and a concept, and then a bunch of other industry partners kind of collaborated to put this idea together and then kind of hand it off to people. So there's a website that hosts the recipe, the artwork and label files, the name, the concept, and then we kind of give away the the recipe and the IP and saying anybody that wants to make this beer to support this cause and help raise funds for themselves are welcome to take it. And our goal was to make the beer as cost effective and simple to make anywhere in the world. And obviously, I mean, you know this in beer, there's a lot of complexity to that. And so there's a lot of things we had to let go, but we also kind of saw these different partners come together. So talking to, on the supply side, some were working with people to provide discounts on supplies and supply chain, and then Blue Label Printing, who does label printing for a bunch of breweries in the country, is providing label printing for this project at cost for any brewery that wants to participate. Our studio is providing label design for any brewery that wants to participate, and in that we have this huge network of illustrators and designers and freelancers, and a bunch of them started approaching us and saying, how can we contribute? And so we have these freelancers who are contributing label design to breweries that can't handle that right now, so keep the cost down so that they can support themselves better with this project. It's just like all angles have kind of pointed into the project, which has been pretty cool to see.
So if it's a cost-effective recipe, does that mean it's triple dry hopped with Galaxy and Nelson? Is that what we're going
exactly.
for?
Exactly. We got a bunch of questions like that.
Yeah. What is the style?
Yeah, so it's an IPA. One of the things that we wanted to do with it is other half provided a base recipe, but we're really treating this like a collaboration. So we're giving people, like, we want people to experiment with it and tweak it based on their water profile or based on hops that they have or based on whatever creativity or whatever. But the base recipe is an IPA. You can download the recipe off of the website, which is AllTogether.Beer. If you want to check it out, you can see what it's built of. But it's, Columbus, Mosaic, Cascade, Simcoe, and then subbing out hops where needed based on what you have.
Great. That's really cool. So I know that you've got a list of heavy hitters heavy hitter breweries already signed up to do this, and we can get into that. But is it too late to jump on this, or you're saying like anybody who wants to can still do this? You just got some early commitments. Is that correct?
Yeah. So this is, that's totally correct. It's okay. We're calling it worldwide, and we're calling it open-ended. So it launched today with the recipe and the concept, and we have about 40 breweries that are on board for the launch. But the idea is any brewery anywhere in the world can participate. Anybody that is able to and that it makes sense for their business and their people right now, we want to participate. And the things that we're asking for from each brewery when they make this beer is that a portion of the proceeds go to support hospitality professionals in their individual communities. And then the rest goes to the brewery itself to support it and to help it get through this really difficult, crazy time. We left it up to each brewery to decide where those proceeds go, because every community is different and the needs in that community are different. So for some people, that's going to relief organizations. Some people, it's going to local funds, like a local chapter that's raising funds for a specific cause. As long as it's supporting hospitality professionals, that's what this was designed to do. So yeah, we put out this open call for anybody that wants to be a part of it. Here are the tools. Here's what we can do. Well, we have this big marketing and PR push behind it to sort of raise awareness for the project as a whole. Hopefully that support, that momentum helps breweries, regardless of where they are, to contribute and then also take care of themselves, to take care of their employees.
That's very cool. Really excited for you to, excited that you're leading this. You're the perfect person to make this happen. Why don't you dazzle anybody watching with some of the big names that they've potentially heard of who are signed up?
Yeah. So I can run through some of the names, but what's been really cool is seeing the breadth of locations that's coming in from breweries. We have breweries all over the country, every major market, but in Stockholm, the UK, in Spain, in Italy, in New Zealand, in Australia, in Argentina, in Norway. It's international at this point. It's happened really quickly. So there are a lot more than this, but I can just go do like a blitz list for some of them. Other half, who's leading it, Side Project, Monkish, Trillium, The Vale, AZ Wilderness, Alvarado Street, Finback, Humble Sea, Southern Grist, Burial, Microphone in Chicago, Hidden Springs, Green Tree, Bottle Logic, Ska's doing an Equilibrium, American Solera, Civil Society, Hoof Hearted, Barrier. I'm going to pull up my big list. There's a bunch of others. Modern Times. It's just really taken off. And Stillwater, Collective Arts is in. It's been really cool to see because this is a pretty unique community, and it's a community of people that are used to collaborating. It's kind of baked into the model of how we do business as collaboration. So the idea of a collaboration in beer is not weird. So when we put up this to make it as open-ended, inclusive as possible, and then just started reaching out to our friends in our community and said, just invite everybody, the responses pouring in have been crazy, have been overwhelming.
And what's great about it too is each individual brewery kind of controls their own destiny to get it done. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people not in the industry probably don't realize that for every collaboration that happens, there's probably 3 where they're like that fall through, or you had all the best intentions, and then it just someone's got to lead a little bit more than the other just to keep the wheels turning and getting it going.
Yeah.
So but this is nice because the brewery can do it, sounds like, on their own schedule, and it doesn't have to all release on the same date. If they've got some issues to figure out for the next month, they can wait till the month after that to get it brewing, or maybe even beyond that. So that's really cool.
Yeah,
go ahead.
That's a really good point to bring up. Sam, the head brewer at Other Half, that was one of his big things as we were planning out how to do this. He's like, I don't want to make any brewery feel pressured to be a part of this. And he was very intentional to design it in a way that anybody could participate at any time. So we purposely didn't say, here's a launch date for beers, and we purposely didn't try to set all of these milestones. It's like, when you can do this, if you can do this, if it is good for you, do it. And we're just kind of let it go and let it roll, so that, yeah, as you said, if it's a couple of weeks from now, if it's a month from now, if it's months from now, breweries come in and participate and hopefully do some good, and also hopefully use this to help us get through this crazy time of shut down breweries and tap rooms and spaces.
Is it fair to say that most of these, if you just had to imagine, would be sold out the front door of breweries, and we probably won't see much of this distributed for, raising the most of it, since it's all going to causes to not do distro? Or do you think we'd see any breweries partnering with a bottle shop, where maybe the bottle shop would contribute some of their margin to their staff, something like that?
Yeah, that's what's been so interesting about this. If I had just planned this, like if I had been really strategic about everything, and this is what we were thinking of at the beginning, it was to recommend that you sell it out of your brewery. So whatever you're doing, curbside, online, delivery, whatever it is, keep as much of that margin, because that allows you to give more of it. But I think what you just said about like maybe bottle shops will get involved, and it will hit market in some places. We're already seeing people come in with ideas and saying like, hey, what if we did this? What if we partnered with this really cool glassware company in town, or this great screen printer that we have, and like did this other thing in conjunction with it and help raise funds that way? Like, cool, do it. Like, do anything just to get it out. Yeah, it's like a tiny little ray of like good vibes in this sea of a really hard time is seeing that like the spark of that community part that has been a part of the beer community for a long time, but over the as we've grown, it's been harder and harder as there's more and more breweries and we're further and further apart. Watching it like refocus on itself in this way has been pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be cool. It'll be cool to I don't know if you have a mechanism yet for kind of reporting out some of the kind of creativity that comes from this, because you're starting with here's the template, but then everybody can spawn off and come up with a side partnership with it, and just I'm sure some inventive ideas are gonna stem.
Yeah, that's the hard part for me. I'm kind of a control freak. So it was another thing that came from Sam a lot, where he's like, we need to like let this go. Like we need to create something and just like, let people do what's best for them. People know what's best for their communities. And so like a part of me is like, but I don't want to, but it's great. It's great because it's going to take on that own life. And then data is going to be a little tricky because it's going to be all over the place. But we're going to do what we can to do a lot of storytelling and education around this too, because the other side of it is, there are a lot of things that have been really difficult with all these closures, which I do want to take a second to say I'm really proud of the community for coming together and closing tap rooms and closing restaurants and closing bars to protect the health of their employees and their communities. Obviously, and a lot of people are starting to know, if they didn't already, how hugely impactful that is on these small businesses. That closing for a couple of weeks, closing for a couple of days, when you lose the majority or 100% of your income, and then livelihood for your staff, is incredibly difficult to do. So there's a part of this where that education for people at large and seeing this is what goes into running the small businesses in your community that you love, and then asking for, this is a time to support those businesses, because we believe they contribute a lot to your communities, and I know you do too, but this is a good way for you to kind of see what that means.
I told someone this yesterday. I had a half-written blog post, and it was called "The Long Game," and it was about pitfalls of short-term thinking and versus long-term thinking. And I pretty much have to delete it, because everything right now is all about the short term. And it's like, everything is like, what are you doing right now is all that matters. Forget 6 months from now, forget your budget, your plan for what you were going to do in the fall. It's all gone. It's everything is like, what are we doing right now to put ourselves in the safe position to be the safest, and everybody around us to be safe and healthy. And so
that's a sobering way to put it, but I think that is very, very true. And so we're talking to our breweries all over the place. Everybody's doing that. It's like, how do we get through today, and how do we do the most that we can? And there's been a lot of creative things that have come out of that, but it is incredibly difficult right now.
I agree. Well, Matt, you ready to play a little game? Play a little time crunch? Yep.
Sure. Let's play
that time. All right. So I'm gonna give you 10 extra seconds to make up for the kind of lag with being online. So we got 2 minutes and 10 seconds. I'm gonna go rapid fire on questions. And
nervous, Doug. I'm nervous.
You should be.
If there's a single sports question in here, I'm just gonna shut the computer.
Yeah, no follow-up questions. If you didn't hear me, of course, I can repeat it, and you can also pass and just say, I don't want to answer that, and pass if you want, but you won't get a point. And points are very valuable.
What's the prize?
Don't worry about it. So
fair.
We got 2 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock. The clock will start when I finish the first sentence, or the first question. So I made the first question be the longest one. So Matt, if you were launching a brewery, what packaging format would your lead beer go into?
12-ounce cans, pressure-sensitive labels.
What U.S. breweries' can designs do you envy the most?
Half Acre.
What is your favorite shelter-in-place distraction currently?
Getting through the day.
What Adobe Suite program would you struggle most to live without?
InDesign.
What is the first beer you will drink when you get back to Chicago?
Daisy Cutter.
What U.S. brewery is your favorite to follow on Instagram?
Arizona Wilderness.
If a friend only had time to visit one Seattle brewery, where would you send them?
Holy Mountain.
Which Pixar movie is #1 on your son's list right now?
He won't watch any Pixar movies, even though I've tried to get him to watch Toy Story many, many times.
Fair enough. What beer style are you surprised to see getting made more and more?
Lagers.
What social media platform do you feel you have the least handle on?
TikTok, because I'm old.
What US city has the most runway left for a new brewery to open?
Houston.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you enjoy hazy IPAs?
Put a 7.
Name one thing you miss about working in distribution.
Financial security and a regular paycheck.
What is the most important lens that a photographer must have?
A 50 millimeter, nifty 50.
Name a beer you've always wanted to try but haven't.
Oh, pass.
Describe the beer scene in Hong Kong with one word.
Young.
We're out of time. I will count that one.
Cool.
Good answer.
Those are good questions. Those are you spend some time researching your guests. These aren't just like
I do.
questions.
I need to put more time into the actual outline than the questions, but I end up spending all my time on the questions.
I like the questions.
We'll adjust over time. But Matt, thank you so much for taking the time. This was fun. Would love to have you on again in the future.
Sure.
Best of
Thanks
luck with AllTogether. We'll tag or put the website in and everything else when I post this, so people can find it. Hopefully, some people that didn't know about it learn more about it through the show, and then can look forward to seeing their local breweries brew this beer over the next few months. I hope they're like spread out too. They don't all. I like how they're not going to all come out at the same time, and I am excited to try them and see how all the labels turn out, and it's going to be fun. So thank you for doing this. You're going to raise a ton of money for some of the people that need it the most right now. So really appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, it was good talking to you. Thanks for having me on.
Always. Cheers, Matt.